Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Euston Station in the north of central London to Victoria Station in the West End. This ride takes about 20 to 25 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. I've had quite a few requests from people asking for routes linking up the different railway stations in London, so here is one for you. And remember, you can easily do this ride using cycle hire bikes, Boris bikes. There are docking stations in front of both of the stations, so there's no need to bring your bike on the train to make use of this route. If you find it useful, or you just enjoy watching it, or you'd like to see more like it, then do subscribe to the channel, as I post new videos like it every week. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on Euston Road, right in front of the station, and I'm not on my bike at this point. What you want to do is cross the road on foot. You can't cycle on this pedestrian crossing, so don't get on it. And you want to head for Gower Street, which is that street right in front of you here. Actually, when I filmed this video, it was actually closed technically, but it's normally not closed, although there is sometimes some building work going on there, so you may need to watch out for that. Gower Street is a pretty quiet street, and it should be no problem to cycle on for anybody. On your left here actually is Gordon Square, and that's one of these really nice Georgian square gardens, and it's actually open to the public. A lot of these ones are closed off, but you can go in here, and I think a lot of people don't really know it's there or that you can go in, but it's a nice oasis and worth checking out if you've got a few minutes to kill and you're in the area. You get to the end of the street here and you turn right into Byng Place. There's actually a no right turn sign here, but if you look closely it says accept cycles underneath, so you're allowed to turn right here. And this will take you onto some rather nice sort of lightly protected cycle lanes that go along Torrington Place. These are good actually, they were recently put in by Camden and they're in both directions. Make sure you pay attention to the lights here, and then as soon as you get to Gower Street, turn left. And you'll find yourself on some similar, really quite nice stepped protected cycle tracks. If you're not familiar with Gower Street, what we're doing here is we're actually running parallel to Tottenham Court Road, which is a sort of major north-south road through central London. If you look at the map at the beginning, or if you know your geography well, you'll know that Gower Street actually angles slightly east, whereas Victoria Station is slightly west, so we're going in slightly the wrong direction here. The reason for that is because we'd have to go through Marylebone or Mayfair to get directly to Victoria Station going in a straight line from Euston, and that's not really doable on quiet streets and protected lanes. There's a big gap in Westminster where the City of Westminster Council administers the city. They don't really put in great cycling infrastructure, so you really have to go around it. That said, it's still a pretty quick ride and it's not so indirect, so yeah, it's definitely worth doing. That is actually quite a big hole in central London's cycling network actually. An east-west route across Marylebone would be really useful, and if that existed then we could say go to the top of Hyde Park and get it down and it would be much more direct. The protected cycle lanes give up here, and this junction is a little bit confusing. You need to turn left and then follow the arrows across here. I don't think you have priority over that sort of, they call them elephant's footprints, the little cycle zebra crossing thing that's going on there. I don't think you have priority over that, so do watch out for cars. But you go down Endell Street, which is pretty quiet. It's one way, so it's not a particularly useful cut through. For cars, although it's two way for bikes, so it's useful for us. And then it kind of dumps you onto Bow Street. In this video, Bow Street looks pretty good, it's pretty chilled out, and you can see, you'll continue to see there's quite a lot of people just cycling along it, and it's quite nice. But it does vary, so if it's on a weekend or a time when there's lots of people going to the theatre, you can get a lot of cabs on this street, and it can be a bit of a cab traffic jam. But as you can see now, it's pretty nice. But just a warning about this little spot, it's not always quite this quiet, but it is only quite a short section, and if there is traffic on there, it's very slow moving, so it's not a terrifying street. Now, you come out here onto this junction, and what I do here is dismount, and I cross the Strand on foot here using the pedestrian crossing. And then you can remount, and what you want to do is you want to go left down Savoy Street, which is just down here. And this is a little cut through. If you're coming in the opposite direction, you cycle to the top of Savoy Street, and there's actually a light and a little gap in the pavement that allows you to go through. The reason we do this is because the Embankment and Waterloo Bridge and the Strand are actually at different elevations, so Savoy Street allows you to cut between the two of them. Normally the Embankment cycleway, which we're on now, goes right under Waterloo Bridge, and they used to be quite difficult to connect with, but Westminster Council did recently introduce that little cut through there, which makes it a little bit easier to go via Savoy Street. This is Cycle Superhighway 3, as TfL calls it, and this is a really great little route here. It's really the flagship route. It runs along the Thames. It's always really busy with cyclists. There's definitely more people on bikes here than there are cars driving on the road, even though the cycle lane only takes up a very small amount of the road. And yeah, you can just go along here. It's like a magic carpet. Really, really nice ride. And what we're doing now is, having gone south and then a little bit east, we're now going west along the Thames towards Westminster. And you can see that's Big Ben looming in the distance with its scaffolding still on. Just a reminder that if you enjoy this video or you're finding the route useful, then please do hit subscribe and subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell your friends about it. If you subscribe, I try to post new videos on here every week. Also, people ask me this a lot. I do provide GPS maps of the videos. You can find a link to it in the description below the video, and that's on a website called Komoot, and you can either just look at the map there or use their app, or you can download the GPX file for whatever device or app you use. And if you're the kind of person who likes to use an app or whatever, hopefully that'll be useful for you. Now, we're going through Parliament Square, and wow, there's loads of people on bikes here. This isn't rush hour or anything. This is just often what it's like these days, because when you put in good cycle infrastructure, you get a lot of people on bikes. It can be a little bit slow going through there sometimes. There's quite a lot of lights, and I do cut out the weights of the lights in these videos, so you might get a slightly false impression of how quick it is. But generally, it's a really good way through. You can get a little bit of a bottleneck sometimes through those security barriers, which are there to stop vehicle attacks. And we're heading along Birdcage Walk now, which is a continuation of CS3. Now, look out on your left here. We're going to turn off Birdcage Walk, and we're going to head towards kind of St James's Park area. That's St James's Park itself on the right, and we want to go towards St James's Park tube station. There isn't actually a very good cycle route here, but what you do is you use a pedestrian crossing here, and then you have to dismount for this gate. This is called Queen Anne's Gate, and you have to go through here on foot. I think it would be quite useful to open that gate and turn it into shared space, because it creates an unnecessary bottleneck. There are bollards there to keep vehicles out, but it's actually a really wide path, so considering it connects with a flagship cycle route, it would make sense to have people cycling through there. But as it is, it's far too narrow to cycle on, and you're not allowed to, so make sure you walk there. Then you head down Petty France. That's the Ministry of Justice on the right. Quite a nice building, I think. Now, we're turning into a contraflow cycle lane on our right, but that's actually quite a dodgy turn. This lane is actually on the wrong side of the road, I think. It should ideally be on the left, because it's a contraflow lane going that direction. As you turn into the lane, be really careful. Make sure that there aren't any cars coming, because they won't expect you to turn into the lane. Now, cross carefully here, and you can go into Castle Lane. This is a one-way street. It really should have two-way cycling on it. I don't really know why it doesn't. I guess Westminster just didn't get to it. If you're going in the opposite direction, use Wilfrid Street, which is just to the right of it. And we're coming up here to Cardinal Walk, which is a shopping centre, I believe, built on land owned by the Catholic Church, which owns Westminster Cathedral to the left there. I don't know if they still own it. But you have to dismount here. You can't cycle through the shopping centre for obvious reasons. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of dismounting on this route. But the alternatives are just cycling on busy roads, so you have to walk here. Now, we're solidly in Victoria here, and you can see there is an entrance to Victoria Underground Station just ahead here. I could have ended the video here, but what I'm actually going to do is show you the walking route to the main station, just in case there are people who are not familiar with the area. I actually just recommend walking this entire thing. I've dismounted here. Don't cycle on the pedestrian crossings. It's really busy and it's just not appropriate. So I'm just basically wheeling my bike here, and you want to cross this double lane on Victoria Street, and you just head right here towards the station. Victoria Street is really wide, and I really don't see why it doesn't have cycle lanes on it. I mean, I know why, because they haven't got round to it or considered it, and Westminster Council generally, and I don't know if TfL has thought about it, because it's quite a big road. It seems to be a red route, I think, but yeah, they should really put some cycle lanes on here, because this is a huge employment centre. Loads of people commute to it, and it just doesn't quite connect to a lot of other stuff. But here you go. That's Victoria Station right in front of you. So yeah, Boris bike ranks are actually to the right. You'd go right here instead of having turned left. And here's a map of the way we went. You can see it's a little bit indirect. We go east first, as I said, and then we sort of bear back left. But around Marylebone, Mayfair, there's a bit of a gap in decent infrastructure, so I think it is worth going this way. And as I say, it only takes about 20-25 minutes to do it. So yeah, thanks very much for watching this, guys, and yeah, do subscribe to the channel if you found that useful or you enjoyed it, and check out some of the other videos as well, and let me know if you've got any requests or comments below. Thanks very much, and see you again next time.